All right. Good morning. Day 18 as my game continues to drag on. So, I have been running into a problem that I cannot get past. So, I am now going through this code manually to figure out what is causing the issue. So, I came up with on yesterday's stream at the end of it, I ran into a problem where I realized that the strategy I had for encoding enemies wasn't going to work. And what I'm starting to notice now, and I came up with a better solution by just pure random chance yesterday thinking through it, is that I actually have enough characters to embed the enemies in a much cleaner way. So this isn't working now, but I'll run this just to sort of explain some of my thinking. And then we have to go through and I'll show you where the bugs are that I'm trying to track down. But the idea is that if I do, so the tile map is 20 by 4. So let's go back into edit mode here. So if you see here, we have the enemy can be on this row, this row, this row, and this row. So the problem was I wanted to get it to where changing one character position the enemy wherever we go. Wherever it goes. But in order to get through the entire map, there's just not enough characters. So to keep it simple, what I've done is I've divided the columns in half. And the idea being that we can place an enemy on 0, 2, 4, all the even columns, right? And so as we do that, what winds up happening is that we have an extra character, and I'm going to make that extra character act just like the flag that we had for the enemy's flip direction. What we're going to do instead is we're going to shift the row over by 1. So it's a little abstract to explain, but long story short is that when we divide the columns by 2, we now have 10 by 4, and that's 40. So all we need are 42 characters in order to cycle through all of the even column positions and rows in the tile map. If we set the flag to 1, that will go from even to odd rows, and those two together will basically cover all of the positions. Now, the problem I'm having, and I can't figure out why, and oops, let me go back into edit mode, and Copilot seems to be choking on this, and I've been trying this now for a couple hours and just can't get past this. For some reason, it won't let me cycle through and go past one character from Z. So it gets to the exclamation mark, but then it circles back to 1 instead of actually looping back to 0. So right now, I'm trying to figure out what actually does this. And since we haven't made any progress here, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go git reset hard. And while we do that, I'm going to create a new chat because we haven't made any progress. Now, I'm going to recompile this just to make sure that it works. I was just realizing I didn't have my chat open, so let me just open that up so I can see if anyone chats. I'm gonna stream for about like an hour, about 2 hours and change. I was just trying to get a little bit of an early stream because I'm heading out for 4th of July weekend. So let's see what winds up happening here. This will rebuild, and now what should happen is that this will revert it back to the other code that I had, which will now place the enemy tile in the correct position. So you see how we're going by odd columns. So if I went over to here, I believe it's this one, and I switched it to 1, it shifted to even columns. Or actually, sorry, it shifted to odd columns. And if I go back to 0, which I have to cycle through, there's some other like compression stuff going on that I still need to work out so that I can do this for all 5 characters. Come on, give me back to... Oh, whatever. Anyways, you sort of get the idea, right? So the problem is, and this is what I'm trying to figure out, is why I can't go past Z. So let's do this. I'm going to close out all of this stuff right now so that we can just focus on trying to figure out what is actually cycling through those characters. So I'm going to focus on this code enemy system here, and I want to see what this does. So we have this encoding position 41, which is supposed to get us to all the characters. I'm gonna actually try to add these over. It was exclamation mark quote pound dollar sign. All right, I'm just going to change this real quick so that I think we need to escape this. And then we needed one other character. I think I had one other character here, which is percent and. Percent. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna erase this. I don't want to get stuck on these characters right now. What I want to do is make sure that we actually do this correctly. So we started 48, 49, 47, 48, 49, 83, 80, 45. So this is supposed to work. And this is what I'm really confused by, is that I'm just going to have this return 0 here. And we'll comment out this. So we're just going to go function by function through here, testing this out until we find what's actually handling the cycling logic, so that I can figure out why it won't go through all the characters correctly. And I mean, there's no easier way really to do this. It's just going to be a lot of trial and error, and part of that's on me because I haven't really been paying a lot of attention to what. So I already can tell this is wrong. This should be only returning 0. So this function is not handling this. So let's revert it. Enemy character to value. Now I feel like I've done this before, and I don't think this one did anything. So let's try this one. This code might actually be somewhere completely else. Code level core. Let's see. Whoops. Yep, that's not returning 0 like it should, so this is wrong. All right. Let's go back. Let's keep going down these functions. Encode enemy position. These functions make compatibility with the existing display system. Characters 17 to 23. Just to speed this up a little bit, I'm going to have both of these return 0. And if one of these actually return, if we actually see that it's just returning 0, then I'll just figure out which one of the two it is. But I do want to speed this up. This is such a simple problem too, and I don't understand why Copilot is just choking on it. Like, out of all the things I'd expected it to have problems with, this is not it at all. Alright, so this is still giving us back all the characters, and this is incorrect. Alright. I want to try something else. I want to try, if we came back up here to this map, Z is 83. I want to make this 93. And I just want to see if it actually changes the sprite ID and if these values are even being used. So basically when we get to Z, it should just go to some random tile in the tile map, in the meta tile map, whatever these things are called. Let's see what happens when we get to Z. Alright, so this is not a good sign. The fact that these don't do anything means that I don't even think this is connected up. I want to set both of these to 0. I'll set this to 2. Save this, and now let's rerun this and see. The problem is that I'm already starting to see it. Like, this is so overly complicated. Whatever it is that it wrote, like I would have done this so much simpler. And yeah, it's still giving us the same tiles. So I don't think any of this is being used. That's concerning. I'm just trying to go through here and figure out why. Get 41 position tile. All right, let's see if we return 0 here, what this does. Yeah, like, am I just like missing something, or is this like not even being used anywhere? I want to do a test, and I want to make sure that this isn't just completely like disconnected or there's some issue. I'm just going to disable all this code, and it should throw an error that it can't compile it. If not, then something is... Okay, good. So it's definitely throwing that it can't be compiled. I do not want to restart Windows right now. Thank you. Clear all enemy actors. Place enemy actor. So let me see here. Let me see if I can trace it a different way. We activate the enemy. We set the actor direction. We paint the enemy slots used, which is up here. Oops. I'm just trying to see what this painting stuff does. All right. Let's see here. External references from Paint C. Apply enemy pattern to block row. Test enemy directions. Apply enemy pattern to block row. Is anything else using this? Extract enemy pattern for block row. Alright, all this needs to be... all this needs to be cleaned up. I wonder if we can do this. Here's the enemy system C, enemy system H. I just want to comment all of it out and see what functions are actually being referenced in the code, and then we'll piece it back from there. All right, so core gen function init test enemy patterns. And yeah, I don't want to do this. All right, let's do it. Let's try a different way here. Let me do git reset hard. Why didn't this do anything here? Enemy test enemy tiling C RM. All right. Okay, let's try a different approach. I think what I want to do is this. I want to take this enemy system. I want to take this and this. And I need to clean up the code enemy system. There is a lot of code in here that is not being used or is testing code, and I'm having a difficult time tracking down what is actually incrementing the level code for each enemy. And how to fix some bugs I am finding in it. All right, let's see if we can strip down a lot of this stuff that we no longer need. All right, so based on my analysis, I can see the core functionality and what needs to be cleaned up. Let's create a cleaned up version of the enemy system that removes all the testing code and legacy functions while keeping only the essential functions. What can be removed? All right, my hope is that if I can strip out all the stuff that we're not actually using, then it'll make it a lot easier for us to debug, because there's just too much junk in here. create a completely cleaned up version that removes all the testing code and keeps only the essential functionality. I'll replace large sections at a time. That's always concerning. While it does this, I'm going to poke around some of this stuff because... Alright, we can get rid of this stuff. Legacy function names that may be called from existing scripts. What's using this stuff? Event generate display level code. I just want to go see display stars, script paint tile. Is this a script? What is this? Let me rename this event. Cycle character add. V paint mode condition paint tile. Draw segments. So really what we're looking for is draw segments. This draw segments calls VM draw segment IDs. I'm curious, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to actually do this. I wonder if I disable this, if I can still run this and not have, I don't remember if the drawing the segments actually is needed. It was a lot of debug code. Oh, here, can get enemy row from position already has a bot. I can't do this while it's in the middle of doing this, so that's not going to help me. Call script update selector. All right, and this cycle character add. Let me see here. This one right here. So cycle character add. This calls VM cycle character. Where's VM cycle character? So I think this is what we really need to figure out. I think this is where the issue is stemming from. And we need to refactor. This should not work like this. Run this command. All right, so this is going to copy these. We'll let it copy these files. Yeah, it does something interesting here when it tries to edit your code. It'll make a copy of a file as a backup, and then from there it will try to move everything over. Sometimes it fails, so it's not like a guaranteed solution, but it is nice to see that it tries to non-destructively do these things. All right. So here's where it sort of gets hung up. Sometimes it'll do this command. You got stuck on Let's see here. Run this command. Continue. Now let me delete the old files. Continue. Let's see if it can go through and delete all these things. Move and clear enemy system file to replace the original. Continue. All right, so let's keep all these changes, and now let's see if this actually will build. All right. Sometimes I've noticed I try passing it all this stuff, and then it's sort of, well, let me actually, let's do this. These are all warnings. This isn't the problem. Can you fix this issue? What I've noticed is sometimes if I pass it too many of these issues, it just winds up getting really confused. And sometimes eventually, if you spam it enough, it'll eventually go through and fix it, but I'm trying to do this in smaller pieces now because I think the code base is just it's just too complicated for it to keep track of. All right, it says it fixed this error. Bank overflow. Why is it getting... Hold on. Why is it giving me a bank overflow? We're supposed to be taking away code. I don't understand why we are getting a bank overflow. I thought you were removing code. Look at these issues and find a solution to fix them. All right, let's run this command. Trying to see if there's... Yeah, all these need to be deleted. Sometimes it doesn't... Sometimes it says it's going to delete something, but it doesn't really actually wind up deleting them. And other times I've seen it actually can be smart enough to rename this dot back. But it doesn't seem to be doing that right now. All right, I'm going to delete this, and this, which will also remove any issues that may be occurring because of duplicate code. Platform system extension. I don't know what the difference is between these two things. Let's rerun this and see what errors it returns back. Well, it is running. Let's go through and test if all these things still work. So we should be able to go through. I'm seeing this is looking good. We should be able to move the player, looking good. And now we're moving the enemy. So what we need to figure out is, okay. So let's do this. Git I'm in the wrong one. Git status. All right. So now that we have this updated, now the real question comes down to, I'm going to delete this enemy system. It did cut it in half, so that's pretty good. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to figure out what, now where did I see this before? Is it enemy code gen, draw segments ID, suppress unreferenced parameter warning. I want to see what is display. I wanted to come back into here and I wanted to disable this for a second. And I want to try to figure out what's actually, like, it's added so many different events now that it's like almost impossible for me to keep track of. I'm trying to find my shoes. So my theory is that this will continue to work. Yeah, I don't need to call this anymore. Perfect. All right. So this draw segment, now let's disable this event for a second. Well, I'm going to delete this because we don't need this. And draw segments now can be event. Draw segments can be deleted. And before I do this, let's retest this. Now, this has been, so a lot of this is on me because I've just been too lazy and letting Copilot do its thing and not keeping it in check. A good chunk of it's probably just from bad prompting of not telling it to avoid making edits or new files or things that I don't want it to do. I just want to test out that these codes still work. Okay, good. Let's switch over to this. Oh no, wait. Well, this clears it, so it's fine. We'll switch modes, and all right. This took a ton of time to get right because just getting it to where it cleanly like cycled through these letters and drew the patterns. Just I don't know why it was having so much problems with it, but here we go. So at least we now have that working. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to come back into here, and I want to get rid of these because they're just mapping to something else, and I don't think we even need them. Disable code. Disable the code entry mode. Return to normal validation. Like, I'm not using any of this stuff. Let's do this. Let's save this real quick, and I want to just reload the project now that I've removed that other event, and I want to see if actually since it crashed, let's just compress this real quick. All right, so we have that backed up. Let's reopen up our project. I just want to, so whenever you modify or edit or delete an event, you have to reload the entire project again, or it won't take effect. And what I need to figure out, although I wonder, I don't even know what this search does. Oh, I guess this search is a scene. It's really hard for me to tell which events are external and which ones aren't. Store position. All right, let's do this here real quick. All right, that works. And this is still updating. So that works. All right, so that's some good amount of cleanup we've done here. Git status. Git add all. Git commit. Moving legacy. Level code debug event. All right, so now I don't think we need this either. I don't even think this is even a function anywhere. Let's do this. We'll cancel this, and let's see if event disable, enable editor, we need exit code entry with cleanup, generate display level code, get brush preview tile, paint tile, save level code, set up map, set up paint actors, update code. clean up invalid platforms. Event cycle character. You tell me if I am using any of these and if the events and their corresponding C calls can be removed. Sorry, upstream model provider is experiencing high demand, of course. All right, let's see. I'm curious. Curious how much of this can be stripped out. Found one. Let me check what other events. While it does this, I'm going to look through. I want to see if there's any other places where I'm calling, like update selector, change to delete. I don't know what change to delete is. Tile map editor. Man, there's like so much stuff in here. All right, let's see. Keep events actually used. Event cycle character, remove events not used. The following events have no usage in your project and their C functions are missing. You can safely remove these 6 unused event files. For the SRAM events, since the C functions just put aren't used, you could either remove them if you don't plan on using the SRAM storage. Keep them if you might use it in the future. Alright. Alright, let's see what we can delete here. So we can delete this disable entry mode, enable entry mode exit code editor with cleanup, event update code, and event cleanup invalid platform. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. This isn't right. I'm missing one. Event disable entry code, entry exit code, generate display level code, event update code, and clean up invalid platform. And remove for the SRAM events. What are SRAM events? All right, let's do this. I'm going to delete these events first. And then let's reload the project and run it and see if it breaks anything.
to amplify my thoughts so people will quit asking me for sandwiches. That should work, right?
I don't know what you're talking about, Space Ghost.
Go ahead.
All right, so we can place an enemy down. We can place platforms down. And that's working. Let's switch modes. We can change the platform. We can change the player position. That's working. And the enemy stuff is quasi-working for right now. Okay. All right, let's do this now. I've removed these events. Are there any C events we are not using now that can be deleted? I didn't expect my day to be more refactoring, but the technical debt that I am incurring by letting Copilot do most of my coding is just adding up to the point of where it's like I can't move forward unless I really go through, understand what's going on, and clean this stuff up myself. So I think that I'm using this setup map. Reset globals, move camera, deactivate, store player start, load metadata, we're good. Configure the editor, reset the tile map ID, set the editor mode defaults, and set up the selector position, great. Now we attach the script to start, display menu item, and based on that we toggle the mode. This is all the move stuff. When we attach something to A, it's called script paint. This all needs to be, I'm disabling this for a second. This all needs to be fixed. Attach script to select button. Fine, whatever. That switches modes. Change scene, fine. Display quick game, fine. Display menu. Remove button actions. Entire scene. Let's delete this. If test is reset, if test if reset was selected, fine. Level setup. Setup paint actors. Now I wonder when script enable editor. Enable editor. All right, enable editor we are using, so that's fine. Delete tile I don't think we're using at all. That wouldn't make any sense. I think this that's incorrect. Wait. All right, let's delete this. We don't need this one. I want to reload this project real quick and see if deleting that screwed anything up. What I was trying to do in the beginning, I was trying to use more events inside of GB Studio, but what I've just learned is that it's just faster and easier to do it all in C. So I've offloaded pretty much, I think, everything over to C with the exception of a couple of functions. All right, so we can delete that, and we can delete that. So delete works. We can also place the enemy in different positions, so that stuff still works, so we don't need... Sorry, I have... Oops, okay. Remove the unused VM functions. I have deleted the event delete tile since it's not being used. And now I want you to remove all of this stuff. All right, let's see if we can go through and clean up this. I was trying to do a commit before it started editing things. I'm sure I just committed it while I was in the middle of editing. So we'll see how that works.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
All right. I'll help you remove those unused VM functions to reduce the bank size. Let me start with the enemy system functions. Yeah, I don't have a lot of time to work today on this because I'm heading out for holiday. But my goal is to work on this while I'm traveling for the next 2 weeks. I'll be out in Cali. Because I do need to get this game wrapped up and done. This, which should have been a simple project, has dragged on for weeks now. And I'm close. Every day I'm getting closer. Some days have been worse than others, but I personally like these days where I can refactor and clean things up, especially knowing that there's too much. Let me delete this. We don't need this at all. You only get so much space when it comes to the Game Boy and the amount of code we can keep in each bank. So I noticed that it was adding up over time. So I need to make sure that this stuff is optimized and we only have the code in there that we really need. It also helps with the with Copilot, so it has less code to parse through and figure out. The other ones that I think I can get rid of too is I don't know if I'm using setup map. I definitely am not using save level code. I'm not using load level code. Are these in here at all? Alright, I'm not going to touch those for right now. I also don't know the difference between this VM get brush preview tile, VM get brush tile position. I don't know what the difference is between these two. What I want to look for is when we paint the tile, script update selector. When we update the selector, get brush tile at position. Get brush tile at position. So I am interested in seeing if we use this, does this come up? What is this thing called? So this is what I was looking for. So right here, this GBRes thing is basically the JSON that represents the events that you add on. So I can go through and actually look through and see which ones I'm using. So after we do this refactor, I'm going to go through all these other events, see if I'm using them anywhere in the project, and if not, delete them. And we'll just continue to slowly go through this piece by piece, stripping out everything we don't need, and then we'll build back up whatever was missing or incomplete. But I'm hoping the next 20 minutes we can finish this refactoring, and then I can identify what is causing the enemy level character to not cycle correctly. So I know for a fact I am not using this anywhere. I am 100% incorrect. I am using it. I'm using it right here, aren't I? Thought I was using it here for paint, maybe? Alright. We'll let this finish its deletion, and then, or its refactoring, or whatever it's doing right now, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at this. Oh, come on, just finish my request. Alright, while it does this, I'll be right back. Alright. Let's see now what... This is taking its time, but I'm hoping it's going to delete a lot of stuff that we're not using anymore. While it does that, I'm going to do some more testing just to see. This is being called, fine. I don't think this is being called. Yeah, this can be deleted. I'm just going to put this over here so I can keep track of what I want to delete. This I know is being called, let's see here. This is not being called. This is definitely not being called. But let's double check. This event paint tile is definitely being called. I think that's like the main thing that I use. So we can close that out. Where was I? It's starting to screw this stuff up as it's moving. It's like using my other tabs. Load level code. I think we can get rid of event paint tile. Event save level code is not being used anywhere. All right. Setup map is being used. Huh. It is not being used. Look at that. And then set up paint actors. This one's definitely being used. Yep. Alright. Alright, so I'm hoping that once this is done, this will clean up all the functions that we're no longer using. Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to pass it in each of these events and just tell it to remove the functions that are attached to these events if they're not actually being used. All right, so I go checking for any remaining files. I don't think we need to do this. I think we can just do this real quick. We'll keep all these changes and let's run this and see what happens. All right, I needed to fix this fatal error. Change optimizer said, even if I didn't. Can you fix this issue? All right, while it's doing that, I actually want to give myself a little bit more room here. Just going to move this over here, move this over here. Oops, bug flying around in my office. Yeah, it looks like it didn't. Looks like it had too many endings here. Right, I don't need to do that. I just need to build. Stop. I hate that it doesn't realize that it doesn't need to build this for me. Alright, all these warnings I'm not too worried about. As long as it can just get past this and build. Alright, let's see now. So, we will test the player can be moved. We can cycle through this and it's working. This is working. We can add. We can delete, which is working, and we can put enemies down. All right. So let's do this. Git status, git add all. I'm going to save this to git status, git commit, removing code no longer being used. Commit m removing code no longer being used. All right, I'm going to push this to my server too, so we have a backup of it off my computer. All right, so now let's cancel this, and what I want to do is see if I can focus on I can't remove that for some reason. So let's do this. We're going to add this. This, and this. Right, let's double check. Event load level code. I know I'm not using that. Save level code. We'll make sure that we're not using this setup map. We're not. Event setup paint actors. We are using that. So let's remove that and close this out. All right. I want to delete these 3 events that are not being used. Can you remove any code they reference since that is not used? That is only used by these events. All right, let's see if it can identify anything else we need to remove. All right, sure, remove this item. It's weird because it tells me that it's doing it, but then it doesn't. I feel like it just gets, yeah, see, it gets these errors and then it just doesn't, it just pretends like it knows what the hell it's doing, but it just doesn't. I'm gonna let it keep doing its thing. We've been rate limited. Please wait a moment before trying again. Oh, come on. Whatever. I don't understand. Like, some days I can do as much of this as I want, and other days I can't do anything. And set up map. I'm just going to delete these. Delete. Event setup map, delete. This will just fail because it doesn't know what to do with that. Fine. Close you out. Close you out. Reveal in File Explorer. No, I don't want to do that. Reveal in Explorer view. Delete. Get brush will delete. I've manually deleted the event files. Did you remove the function calls that are not being used? Kind of curious, while it does this, I'm just going to run this and see if this still works. Perfect. That's good. Are there any other events that I need to get rid of now? I think this is the only one. I don't remember using this anywhere. So script, paint, tile, cycle, event cycle character. This goes to VM cycle character, right? And code persistence. Excuse me. Let's see. Who knew that placing the enemies was going to open up this gigantic can of worms of all the other stuff that just wasn't implemented cleanly by Copilot? It's weird, like it really over-engineers stuff. Like, this code for cycling the character should be so easy. It should literally be some sort of like, it should just add these numbers up. It's doing so many checks. I don't understand what all these checks really are doing. Like, there should be something that just caps it when you change to different characters, and then it would set this like as a global variable. But it doesn't seem to function that way. I guess we both have different ideas of how to implement these things. But I definitely know that this is the place right here where the cycling is happening. So what I need to figure out after this is which one is actually responsible for the enemies. Alright, I think it's almost done going through all the code and removing all the functions that aren't being used. Alright, let's keep these changes and let's see if it compiles. Then we'll reload the project to make sure the events have been removed correctly and it's not breaking anything. And then we can move on to the next piece of debugging. Interesting when it like sometimes these events come back, these warnings, and sometimes they go away. All right, so we can draw, we can delete, we can move the player, we can put an enemy down, we can switch, we can cycle through all these different characters. We can move the player to different locations, and the enemies to some extent. We just haven't fixed that yet. All right, let's do this. Whoops, I don't want to do that. Stop. Whatever you're doing, stop that nesting thing. Git status, git add all, git commit. Oh wait, before we do that, we need to save and reload the project. Well, this compiles. There's something else I saw. Print files. I don't think we need this anymore. These I think we can delete. Let's see. It's building. This should compile without any errors. I don't think those events did anything. They weren't. I didn't see them referenced anywhere else. All right, let's go back to our test. We can put an enemy down. We can put platforms down. We can delete platforms. We can delete enemies. We can move the player. We can switch. We can change this. These different ones affect the neighbors correctly. We can move the player around, and we're good to go. And then this is some basic layout for the enemies. All right, we are good to go. So git add all, git commit m, removing even more unused events and code. All right, so now that we have this done, let's take a look at this here. Cycle characters reverse. I don't care about that. What I want to do is this replace meta tile, set the new. All right, what I want to do is I want to see, we're going to restart this and start a whole new chat because I don't want it to have all the legacy crud from before. Okay, can you tell me which part of, for cycling through the enemy chars, and we're going to pass it in the enemy system here. Let's see if it can identify where this is actually happening. No, I asked for this. All right, so this is the place for the enemies. This code handling two different types of enemy-related characters: enemy position, enemy mask values. After determining the new values of these functions, the cycling logic itself is simple. It just increments the current value. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. That's the 5. So, okay, this is it right here. This is the code. So what I want to do is I just want to see that if I can override this to equal 0. Basically, I want to make sure that every time I try to cycle an enemy character, it should just give me back 0. And what we're going to do is systematically go through each of the cycle values to see why it ends where it does. I have a feeling there's a hard-coded 40 in there, and I think that's the problem. So let's do this. Let's go here, and bingo. Because this works, this works. This is now not working. And then this is something else, and this is something else too. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to change this to value 48 or something. I just want to see if I can get this to actually cycle past the place where it's stuck. Because it shouldn't have taken me an hour and a half to find this piece of code. But there was a lot of stuff that needed to be removed, which I'm kind of glad I did, because every kilobyte or kilobyte like actually counts in this. So let's switch modes. All right, so we're gonna see if we can get past Z exclamation mark. No. So I don't know what is going on here. Why don't we just do this? I just want to see if we can take the current value and just keep adding 1 to it over and over again until it's gone. If that doesn't work, the next test is to see if we can get it to actually cycle to just like we hard-coded it to 0, to see if we can get it to be higher than Z, just to see that it can actually reach those values. I don't need to resize this here. Edit, switch, and this should not cycle now. All right, there's something else that is forcing this to happen. So, all right, I am trying to find the code that cycles, oops, the enemy level chars. I've commented out, I cannot type today, out this check, and it's still looping back to 0 after Z. Where is that happening? So I wonder if I just did this. I just want to see. I see the issue now. Even though you commented out the wraparound check in the specific block, there's another place where wrapping might be occurring. So I have a feeling that that's not even being called. Oops. Yeah, I was correct. This isn't even being called. The update level code from char edit function, which gets called right after this logic. Handle enemy data edit. Code enemy system. I don't know if these are even, I don't think this is even used. Can I safely remove this?
The operation is about to begin.
Let me check whether you have any other handler for character indices. I don't know if I want that. If you remove the enemy position block without updating the else clause, accommodate enemy position card, you might lose the ability to use the full range of the enemy position values. If you're planning to add a different implementation for enemy position, you're going to update the... If you want to completely remove special handling for enemy positions and have them fall into general use, you could modify the else clause. Well, commenting this out doesn't appear to impact anything. I'm not convinced this is actually being used. Come on, you can find me. Where is the... while it searches that stuff, I want to look for these functions. This is the header. This is the C. This level core is calling it. Let's see what this function does. You can save and delete it as long as characters are still being handled by the else. Alright, let's see here. Now... hide the update. Get position, get enemy chart of value. Alright. There's still like too much code in here. You don't need this. Clear all enemy actors. What is using this? Clear. This is the markdown file. I don't think this is actually being used anywhere. Let's see if we can rebuild this. Yeah, this is just one of these problems where it's just a lot of this time-consuming trial and error in order to clean this stuff up. But, oh, cancel the build. So let's see here. Warning. Code enemy system. Code enemy system references it. Where? I've deleted this. Oh, interesting. Why are there two methods for this? That's really weird. I've never seen that before. Oh, you know what it was? It was actually calling the function. What is this? Decode enemy data from... this might actually be important. I just don't understand why I couldn't follow my instructions and just do this. Like, this is so simple. Like, as long as the paint tool works, all the code should do is tell the paint tool what to do. But it really just loves to overcomplicate things. Alright, let's switch modes. Alright, so this is still working fine. I don't know why that shifts. I don't know why these shift. I don't know. All this stuff is just totally broken, but that's fine. I know that because it's not finished. Alright, we're going to delete that function. We don't need that. I just want to see if this has done anything. Nope. Why did that go to G? Hmm. All right. Decode each enemy position. Decode masks. Decode enemy data from level. Platform end row. Segment height. I just want to test something real quick to see if this actually fixes the enemy position. I notice that it's not really moving the enemies to where they need to be. Well, now it doesn't do anything, so that's good. Alright. I don't know how changing that messed anything up. Let me see here. Alright, my brain's not working. Interesting. Well, it is actually moving. It is moving the enemy to the right position. Why does that change? Okay. Is there anything else in here that is acting really weird that we need to address, or that I can't address that I understand just yet? Extract enemy data. Get enemy row from position. All right, let's do this. Get status. All right, so what I want to do now is I need help simplifying the enemy cycle logic. I want to focus on changing an enemy's position, the level code, to go through all of the valid positions. This means, well, right now it's looping back to 0 when it goes past Z, but I need it to go 4 more values up. Where is this logic being called that cycles it back to 0 so I can do more debugging? All right, let's see if we can identify where this code is being executed. I don't know what it's doing here. I don't know why it's changing things. I asked it to give me feedback, but all right. But I've already told it that code persistent doesn't do anything. I don't know what it's doing. Get extended. Show me this. Get extended display chars. I think the disconnect that's really happening here is that it keeps trying to convert these things into characters, and they're really just numbers. Like, let's keep this for a second. I'll see if this made any difference. But I think this is what needs to happen, is that this system needs to be completely stripped down, and that there's no correlation whatsoever between the... Even though we're putting in a code, it just needs to know the tile ID. And this is causing a lot of like problems. Oops, I don't want to play. I want to switch modes, and I want to see if I can now go past Z, because I'm not convinced this did. Nope, didn't do anything. Else and your changes didn't do anything. We need to re-approach this problem. I don't understand why you are mapping these values to characters in the code. The only characters we need to deal with are the meta tile IDs. The code, the level code, should just be numbers that we then offset and use to display the right meta tile value for. There is no reason why we need to keep track of A through Z plus anything else internally. We just need the number value for each of the level code chars it's a 1-to-1 mapping to sprite to tile map values. All right, this might be a little bit too much for it, but let's see. So I got about like 30 minutes before I have to stop streaming, but I really want to see. I think this whole thing is the problem right here. Whatever this extended display is, what all this other crap is that it's writing, like all this stuff doesn't matter at all. Let's see. Looking at your code more carefully, I can see that these are essentially two separate systems at work. The internal data representation, the visual representation, meta tile IDs. The confusion comes from trying to connect these two systems. Let's break down what's happening. For enemy positions, specifically the enemy code, the issue is most likely that the handle enemy data edit function. But here's the problem. This code level core, now into the fundamental issue. The position is designed with specific limits. First, let's identify the key functions that process enemy positions. Hold on. I'm stopping you. Oops. I don't know what I just did there. This is more than the enemy code value. This is a systemic issue throughout the code level core file and probably others. I don't understand why this isn't simpler. You just need to keep track of the level code chars ID from 0 to 41 for enemies, or 0 to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, 11, 22, or something else for the platform. I think you got confused because I reference them as 0 through 9 plus A through Z, but I'm using that for my own testing because that's what maps to the meta tiles. So by just keeping track of the actual value, when you go to update the level code display, you simply offset it by adding a fixed value, so the meta tile sprite ID always starts at the tile that displays 0 at 0.3. Before you write any code, confirm that you understand understand what I am asking and give and propose a solution on how to refactor all of this and simplify it. This is going to create a lot of weird bugs, but, oh God, all right, forget it. I'll just use Sonnet 3.7, I don't care. I can honestly hardly tell the difference between them. All I know is that ChatGPT has gotten so bad right now that it's I dread even using it. I'm so ready to cancel my subscription to them because it's just not good anymore. It's overly convoluted. Let me step back and confirm my understanding. You want to track of simple numeric values internally. Platform patterns. When displaying these values, you want to map them directly to metatile IDs, adding an offset. You're using characters like 0 to as a visual representation because they correspond to specific metatile sprites. The core issue is that the code is masking this more complex than necessary by converting back and forth between different representations. Here's what I believe is happening. Yeah, I know it's more simpler. This is exactly what I told you to do from the beginning, but of course, because I am lazy and having you code for me, you did it the worst way possible. Simplify the get extended display char and display char at position to work with direct numeric values. Move the intermediate character conversion. Update the cycling function to work directly with the numeric values. Ensure proper range validation based on the fields. Does this align with your... Yes, this aligns. I just need you to not break any of the existing logic that knows how to cycle through the platform patterns correctly or skip ones that are not valid. The focus is to remove the internal back and forth conversion between number and char representation and just focus on storing the value and working with that when updating the meta tile. All right, let's see what it does here, because I have a feeling that I'm just going to continue to be more. If I can't figure this out, I'm just going to have to go in and fix this myself, because I'm getting tired of it, and all of this stuff that converts, like all this stuff is just garbage. Get display position. Why it even has a map like this, I don't understand. Removing intermediate character expressions. I'll preserve the existing logic value, cycling and validation. I'll ensure the display system maps numeric values directly to metatile IDs. Let's start with simplified display chart position function, which is where the numeric values get converted. God, I really got lazy and wasn't paying attention. And now this has cost me days of cleanup. And honestly, I think this to me is the biggest issue when it comes to these vibe coding tools and agents and all this stuff and Copilot and whatever, insert any LLM that codes for you, is that if you don't babysit it and you don't know what you're doing, it will just give you, it's garbage in, garbage out. And most of the time, I wind up having to rewrite like huge chunks of its code. Like it did help me get very far. Like I think if I was to do all this stuff by hand, this probably would have taken me a lot longer. So it has saved me some time, but because I get complacent and I just let it do whatever I think it's doing, or I assume it's doing something right, it adds layer upon layer of garbage on top. And I have to get into this mindset where every time it gives me code, I need to make sure that I understand what the code is, where it's putting it, and it's going to slow me down, but it'll be way faster than having to Google all these answers all the time. All right. Hopefully we can get this to figure this out. I was just catching up on my RSS feed. And then if we can get this working, I think this will go a long way to cleaning up all these issues that I'm running into. No, keep iterating. I always get concerned when but this is a really big change to the system. I'm hoping that this is something that is in its wheelhouse. I'm just reading its statuses and seeing what it's doing. I don't think there's a fun way to show refactoring while streaming live. All right. Yeah, I want to know what is calling this base 32. What the... What the hell is going on here? It's been doing this for a while. Come on. I'm willing to bet anything this is not going to compile, but that's fine. All right. Still going. Ugh. Sorry, normally I'm a little bit more talkative, but for some reason my stomach's been bothering me today, so I am more in a sit back and watch mode than a entertain mode. Let's see, both occurrences are identical. Let me be more specific. Like, well, I guess I can't select this anymore. Fast selective update that doesn't re-extract all data. All right, any day now. I hate when it does this. Whatever, let's create a small helper function to simplify our edits. Something is going wrong here. Why does it need to use the new helper functions? Alright, well, this is going to keep doing its thing. I'm going to sit here and babysit it. There's no point to me sitting here streaming while this is doing something. I mean, I'm not even interested in watching it. But I don't know what my stream schedule is going to be like next week. I will continue to try to stream while I'm out in California. I will be in a studio, so I should have everything I need, technically. So, hopefully, I'll be able to make some good progress out there next week. Between all the projects I need to work on. This one's been bleeding over into all different projects. So, anyways, well, thanks for watching. I'm going to go rest up and figure out what's going on in my stomach today. And hopefully I'll have a Game Boy game very soon. I would like to build a Game Boy game, or at least finish one. So, thanks again for watching, and have a good weekend, because I will not be around until next week.